The crow lives long, longer than many other birds, because it never rushes. It doesn't take to the sky without reason. It waits, watches, remembers. Crows remember faces. They remember places where something ended. And they return there not out of curiosity, but because they know. A crow person is like her. They don't run from the past. They simply don't carry it with them. They change names, but they don't change their path. They leave behind what has already happened and move on, without looking back. The crow does not judge. It accepts. And if it flies above the road, it's not the end. It's simply movement forward. So what is a noir woman? A noir woman is a woman who fears nothing, and the very embodiment of a noir woman is the one you see on screen. This is the crow, the one whose daring robberies left their mark. A woman who never needed fame, a woman who never believed money had to be more than enough. A woman who can allow herself everything and do exactly what she wants. In criminal circles, she was known as the Crow. She truly was a crow, one who never asked for permission. She chose black for herself, and she knew that this color would never change in her life. Black was learned once, and it would remain black for her forever. The Crow was a deeply atmospheric woman. She wasn't a cat woman, she wasn't a vamp. She had her own atmosphere. When she spoke to someone, everything around changed. The aura shifted. The tone of the conversation changed. People began to trust her with what mattered most. And one night changed everything. One night cracked her life open. They entered that house the same way they had entered dozens before, calmly, confidently, without unnecessary words and without unnecessary doubt. But that night something shifted, barely noticeable, as if the air grew thicker, as if the silence became heavier than usual. There was a gunshot, sudden, unplanned. They weren't ready for it. The shot wasn't meant for her. It was meant for her partner. One sound, and the rhythm they knew collapsed. She left that house alone, not because she chose solitude, but because sometimes fate offers no alternatives. It takes its payment immediately, without warning, without the chance to negotiate. But everything was forgiven to her. Many understood that it was her and her partner. They forgave her not because they were merciful. They forgave her because they couldn't catch her. She reached her house by dawn, old, set away from the road, the same place they always returned to after robberies. The house accepted her in silence, without questions, without traces of anyone else. There, she was alone, for the first time, truly. In that house, a new step began, a new life, not as an escape, but as a continuation. But it wasn't freedom, it was initiation. From that moment on, she lived differently, colder, more precise. And everything that began there was no longer about survival. It was the beginning of something new, and something truly terrifying. Well then, friends, it's me again. A private detective from the investigation agency Silent Detective Bureau. And the case I took on turned out to be absurd from the very beginning. A man came to me asking me to find a woman named Jane. He came to read a will. The problem was, no one had seen the woman for a long time. According to him, she had grown up in a convent, reached adulthood, and then stepped into the real world. She needed to be found to receive an inheritance. A very large inheritance. I started with the convent. They told me there had been no one named Jane. There had been a girl with a birthmark on her arm, a mark they called a sign from God. That was why they called her Grace. She lived there until she came of age, and then she left. No address, no records, no past that followed her. They said she had gone to a small town. I went there next. But in that town, there was no Jane, no Grace either. Just a gap where someone had been. The Crow settled in a small town, quiet, unnoticed. She learned to live slowly, without sudden moves, without a past behind her. In time, she realized there was a way out. There she met a girl named Jane, an orphan, unneeded by anyone. They matched too precisely. Height, facial features, the way they carried themselves, as if one were the shadow of the other. And that was when she decided not to run, to replace. Jane had to disappear so another could live. She killed her, declared herself dead, and took her name. From that moment on, the criminal life was over, forever. In the small town, people said that Jane had gone to Los Angeles, to Hollywood. They didn't speak of one woman. They said they left together, Jane and the Crow. That's how it stayed in the town's memory. Two women vanishing in the same direction. And after that, only the road west, and only one of them would reach the final destination. I found her. We even sat at the same table, had tea. She answered calmly, clearly, too clearly for someone with a past. But there was one thing. On her arm, there was no birthmark. The one sign that can't be faked and can't be forgotten. And there was something else. Some details didn't add up, because I had already seen that woman before, in the newspaper, in the list of the dead. According to the records, she was supposed to have burned in her own car half a year ago. But sitting across from me was a living person, and at some point I started to doubt not her, but myself. Because when facts collide with reality, the first thing to break isn't the story. It's the one checking it. She disappeared again. The Crow. Black wings left behind one more body, the one meant to confirm her own death. She found a replacement, left her in her place, and walked away. It wasn't an escape, it was calculation. And if it feels like it's over, it only means she's already somewhere else. This case was absurd, even by my standards. The girl she killed was meant to inherit a fortune greater than everything the Crow had ever stolen in her life. If it hadn't been for that birthmark on her arm, she could have entered this world legally. But life took a turn that can't be called ironic or cruel. Just the kind of turn that sometimes can't be explained with words. I was looking for someone to hand the inheritance to. In the end, there was no one who needed it. There are cases born of absurdity. Others are so precise, they leave no room for answers. This one lived in between. I still don't know what stayed with me more, the absurdity or the truth.